Welcome to the Chrissy Mayer Podcast. We are on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening right now on iTunes, please go and leave a review with 5 stars and a glowing review. And it could be creepy, it could be sexy, it could be whatever. It could be even negative. So long as it's 5 stars, I'm going to be reading the best reviews every week. So please leave a review. And I'm also really excited to announce the show's brand new sponsor, Silk City Hot Sauce. Head over to LevinskyTopshelf.com. That's LEVINSKY you know how to spell topshelf.com, and use the promo code CMP and you'll get 15% off your order. These guys are great. Jeff and Enid, they really know their stuff. They run the company all on their own. And I think if we want to help the economy out, you know, we should start with small businesses who really care about their product and their customers. So again, just go to Levinsky Top Shelf and order some Silk City hot sauce. I have a bottle coming to me soon. I'm going to chug it on the next episode. Use the promo code CMP and that'll get you 15% off your order. And they will actually throw in a free bottle of cherry sriracha and some stickers. Oh man, cherry sriracha. I don't even know what that would taste like. Just use the promo code CMP. Silk City hot sauce, you know the deal. Hot sauce people. Can never trust the hot sauce people, but they make the party fun. I'm so excited to have this gal on the podcast today. Her special on Comedy Central is called Talking to Myself, and she is the host of the Relatively Sane Podcast. Jessica Kirson. Hello.
Hi, Chrissy. That was good.
Thank you. I'm really sure.
If I heard that, I would buy.
If you heard that, would you go, yeah, wow, that person might have a clue what she's talking about?
Yes.
Wow. That's what I want.
Yes, you sound very professional. Even if you were just saying you weren't saying nonsense, but if you were, it would still sound professional.
It's all about just sounding confident.
Right.
That's what I've learned just from watching the mainstream news. It's like, you don't have to know what you're saying. Just sound confident.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Just look into the camera and yeah. And I'm trying to say like less. I've noticed I say like a lot and I say and I'm doing better. But that's probably like my number one complaint. So
mine is or you know what I mean.
Which is good, which is like a thing.
No, now I notice it, and I have a couple of friends who constantly go, so I was like, and I'm like, they literally sound like they have a problem. It does not sound okay.
It's like, maybe we don't know. Maybe we don't know. So I've had a lot of comics come on the podcast over the last couple of months, and we always, in general, seem to get to the topic of censorship and freedom of speech. And it's always fun to talk about comedy over the years, especially to the veterans, like you who've been doing it. I've been doing it 10 years and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. I feel like I'm only just now kind of doing it. And Jessica, you've been doing it
I'm in my 21st year.
21 years already. Yeah. And so walk me through. So a couple weeks ago, you had some crazy shit happen to you. I think it was mostly on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. It started on Facebook and then it moved to Twitter. I was thinking about this yesterday, just so you know, because I'm not a crier. Like I'm not. I wish I was. But yesterday,
seem like a tough cookie. Yeah.
I'm not. I'm really weak. I'm
really? Like in
relationships. Yeah. I'm really on stage and in business. I'm a shark. But when it comes to like relationships, I'm pretty, I don't speak up a lot. I'm working on it. But yesterday I thought, I started sobbing because I was like 21 fucking years of doing just thinking of everything I've done all over the world, so many things for no money, just by myself, bombing in the middle of the country. And I'm like, for what? Like, it's so sad what's going on. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what am I doing? Like all that work.
I think a lot of us are having those moments.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very scary because if you're not sort of, you hate to think of it as a pivot. Like I have to pivot to online, but I kind of do. I did have this moment yesterday where I was like, I was around a bunch of comics for Christine Meehan's birthday. And I was like, wow, it's cool to see people. But then I was like, there was part of me that felt like, I feel like I only exist online now.
Yeah.
And, kind of
Well,
a
me
weird
too.
thing.
You have to. I mean, there's not, how long can we do outside shows? And plus some of them are in a fucking barn. Like
Barn.
I would rather do anything. I can't perform. I just can't perform for like cars honking at me. I can't do it. But so back to your original question, I something came up on Facebook like a memory. Is that what it's called? It's
Right.
hilarious.
They have the flashbacks. They go, "Do you want to share this with
Flashback.
everyone?" And then it's a picture of you looking the fattest I've ever looked. And they're like,
Right. I
"Want
know.
to relive this?"
It's like me, like
Yeah.
I know it's like a horrible flashback, but it was a video of me doing a black woman character that I've done since I literally did it, which is this is incredible. The first night I performed. That's how long I've been doing it.
Wow.
I did that character at Caroline's the first night I ever got on stage. So she's one of
Wow.
my like staple characters who I love. And actually, when I talked to a couple of friends about it, they were like, "You love that person. Like you love that character." You know, this she's like a strong black woman, says what's on her mind, says things that I can't say, kind of thing. Like, "What's going on here?" You know, like that kind of thing. And it was about Trump. So it was her saying, "I'm not voting for Trump," like all this stuff. And it was 4 years ago. It was from 4 years ago. And I haven't posted it since, nor have I posted a video of that character in 4 years. I haven't
Wow.
posted it. And I repost stuff a lot, like old videos. And I purposely didn't because the times changed. And even though I love her and I love doing that character and people love it, I didn't feel that it was appropriate because of everything going on. I just didn't feel comfortable. And I don't stop when other people tell me to. I do it when I feel uncomfortable doing something. And boy, oh boy, that went up. And I started getting attacked from some people on my fan page.
So you reshared it or someone else reshared
Someone
it?
else did.
Okay.
And and then I have someone that works on my like all my social media. So anytime something's reposted, it's reposted. It's like I can't control everything. Everyone thinks they know. Like I have no idea who I'm following, what's going on. I can barely like I barely got to this podcast. You know that. Like I'm so all over the place. And so it went up, and then I started getting these messages like, "What the fuck? How dare you, fucking racist?" And I'm like, "What's going on? What's online?" I had no idea what was even happening. And then some amateur, because I'm going to call them that. I've never heard of them. I have no idea who they are. I think a couple from New York, some from LA. They were in a chat room on Facebook, and it started spreading around that I did this horribly racist video, but it was against Trump. Like, but if you saw
Right.
it as just Joe Schmo looking at Facebook, you would think this person may be a Trump lover.
Right.
You know, at the time I was doing it like I'm not voting for you kind of thing, and I took it down. But at first I got attacked, so I was like, "What are you talking about? Calm down. What's going on?" It was like a lot of white women, which is
Always the people who are the most upset. Yeah, because they need to protect other races who apparently are too weak to speak for themselves. Yeah.
I can't. So I took it down, and then all of a sudden, go on Facebook. I mean, on Twitter, and a comic from LA reposted the video, which was down from everything now.
So
Like
how?
I took it down. I'm like, I'm not. I have no interest in this. I have enough fucking problems. I don't need this. I'm not a racist. I'm not saying I
Wow.
am.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it's up on Twitter, and oh boy. I mean, she's a writer, a blogger. She's a comic. People knew her, I guess. I don't. They were all talking about it in the chat rooms on Facebook. I
You're
heard.
talking about this like lady Facebook group. Was it that specifically or something else?
I think it was. I might be wrong, so I apologize if this is wrong. But I think it was a black comedians.
Okay.
I don't of women. I don't know
Okay.
or women. I don't even know.
I don't know either. I brought that up only because I used to be in the ladies Facebook comedy group, and then I was kicked. I found like the more successful I got, the more I was problematic, and then like got kicked out because I would
Well,
do
that's
like
always you're always
impressions.
going to get people that are going to shit on you when things happen. That's
Yeah.
always yeah.
So that's why I was wondering if these was like the same crowd.
I don't even know. I
Yeah.
don't even know what happened. It was on Twitter. I'm like, who the
So
fuck
this person
those-
had to have screen recorded it. She had to have, as soon as she saw it, she probably did a screen record, saved it
somehow
to
it was
her own
shared.
phone.
Well, other people
Yeah,
shared it on Facebook too. Like people said to me, "Are you okay? What's going on?" I'm like, "How are you seeing this? It's not. It was
it
taken
was
down from
down.
here, and then it was all over Facebook again." And I'm like, "What?" See, Chrissy, for some, I honestly like feel emotional saying this. I have 4 children, right? My wife doesn't work because my second oldest, who's only 4.5, has heart disease. Like, I'm not saying
Oh,
this for people to feel sorry for me, but it's the truth. She's had 4 open heart surgeries. She's had
wow.
stents. She's going to have many more. So I'm looking at this like, holy shit, everything I've worked, I'm being called a racist now from something I did
Which
for you.
is
I couldn't even,
insane. Because,
I have to say, I did get defensive. I wish I took a second
ugh,
to just like breathe. But I was like, don't fucking call me. Like, I was pissed because I know what I stand for.
because you're
And
the furthest thing from a racist.
well,
And like,
I'm also not going to say it just to appease people. So that was, they were not, some people were not happy with that. They're like, just fucking say it. I'm like, no, I'd rather suck dick on the street than say I'm something I'm not. I'm not doing that because I'm not.
right?
I may have done something that seems unsensitive to you, and I apologize, and I'll always look at shit. But like, I'm not going on and doing a video saying I'm sorry.
No,
I'm racist.
no.
I'm
And
not
that's
doing it.
really good that you didn't do that, Jessica, because like as a person who has been like publicly shamed like at least 3 times now, like it's never enough. Even if you were to do like an
Doesn't matter.
apology video, it's never
No,
enough because they
I
want
knew that.
you to be in flames. It's this like the cancel crowd, they never, the sorry is never enough. You have to, I don't know. Like
Chrissy, it doesn't end. I trust me, I saw, and you know what? It ended with the comic. Like it ended with that whole. It was these strangler, like these
the hangers on, yeah.
very overly extreme liberal. Because again, I'm not. I'm a Democrat, but
Yeah.
like this is fucking insane.
It's beyond. It's
It's
total
beyond
insanity.
insane, and it's gonna make it makes more people conservative. To be honest with you, I don't care if people don't want to hear that.
It
That's the
does.
truth. I have
It's
a
the
lot of
reality.
friends
Hmm.
who have become very conservative because people are trying to silence them, and so it came up on Twitter, and then there were a couple comics which I won't name who turned on me and
Friends of
retweet
yours
people
or
I know,
oh,
yeah, people
okay.
I fucking know who I work with, and I'm like, you know me. So for you to do that, this is different because this person doesn't know me, and
Right.
these people. But if you know me and you've dealt with me, and like I've done business with you, we're friends. It's not. Then you're crossing the line
That's
because
fucked up.
you're, yeah.
Yeah.
So 99% of the comics went crazy, and we're like, you're not going after Jessica. It was actually amazing. I mean, everyone just came on board, and they said it was an important thing because it kind of drew the line. Unfortunately, I'm the one that had to go through it, but it drew the line of like, no, you can't just do this to everyone. You can't. This is not going to
It's
work.
yeah, it's not okay. I mean, as soon as you said that this person was blogger slash I was like, all right, I've heard enough. I know exactly what kind of person this is. Anytime you come across somebody who's a comic and then 3 other things, you're like, okay, so this person's barely a comic and they've just like added it to their bio to just see what
That's hard too.
happens.
I have to be honest with you because listen, I'm not discounting what people felt when they saw it. And so I understood. I really did. I had conversations with her and other people. I got in touch with people. I mean, I did. I had side conversations with
Wow.
people I don't even know. And I listened and I got what they were saying about how black women are perceived. And this was like really an ethnic video. Like it was, I got it. I understood because of everything going on. But that was handled. And it was like, I kept saying to all these women and gay men and people who were freaking out at me. I'm like, you got to work on your own shit because this is
Yep.
not about me. This is now
Yes.
not, it's nothing to do with me. You need to go talk to a therapist because you're dealing with your own self-hatred. Like
Yep.
I know enough about therapy. There's something else going on
If an
that's
impression
nothing to do with
Yeah,
me.
if an impression, and also it's a very good impression. Like anybody who saw that video would laugh, A, because it's hilarious, and go, yeah, I've met that lady. Like this is a real, all
Well, for
characters are,
they haven't met someone
yeah,
that's I make fun of old Jewish
you
people.
make
They're
fun of everyone.
obnoxious. They make this face. They literally like, you're not funny. You'll never make it. You should be embarrassed. You fat. Like that's what I grew up. I mean, make fun of Orthodox people. I make fun. So I guess it's just
The timing
trying to
was,
figure out
yeah,
what works and what doesn't. But I got to tell you, if I have to silence myself, I can't be a comic. I
it's,
can't.
and
Can't
that's a,
do it.
you can't, and you shouldn't, and it's good that you didn't publicly apologize. It's good that you had conversations with people, and it's like people, comics would have even understood you just being like, no, it is what it is. But I know that feeling because it happened to me when I released this, like, I did a spoof. We did, like, everybody was kung flu fighting, and then it was like really supposed to be a celebrity spoof on the Imagine, when Gal Gadot did Imagine, and like
Yes,
each
I remember
celebrity
that.
sang a
Yeah.
line. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but with like kung fu fighting. And I said, you can say kung flu or not, whatever, because it was a trending hashtag at the time. And, and then I was getting, for about like a month straight, the whole like woke Asian community coming after me. This is so racist. Why do you hate Asian people? Like, relentless. And then eventually they were able to get it taken down from Instagram for hate speech.
Wow.
For hate speech. It took them a month. And at that
Wow.
point, it was too late because people had seen it. And it's like, the timeline of these things, it's like people forget about a thing after a month anyway. I mean, really,
Right.
a couple weeks. And that blew me away, Jessica, because I was like,
I didn't know that.
I didn't write Kung Flu Fighting. I didn't write those. People are idiots too, because they thought that I wrote those lyrics. They thought that I wrote a song called Kung Flu Fighting and made me and my comedian friends sing it. The kids now are like the idiot wokes. They were just like, oh, they didn't realize that this is a song from the 70s. So they
No,
said it
they
was
and
hate
they
speech.
also come up with the crazy, like, this guy was like, you're a lesbian and so you're queer just like us, and I'm like, well, first of all, I don't call myself queer. I don't like that word, and I have a fucking right to say that. That
Yeah,
I
it's
don't like
correct.
that word. I never have. You can call yourself, not you, but I'm like, you can call yourself queer as much as you want. I will call myself what I want, and I don't like referring to myself as queer. So then he goes, well, now you're being transphobic. I said, I am
No,
so
you're
out of this
not.
conversation. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I still, right now, have no idea why I'm transphobic because I don't like the word queer.
It's insane. It's totally illogical. And I find, like, the more that this happens to me, it's the people that are so obsessed with labeling others are the ones that are not working shit out with themselves. It's the people that are like, if you're triggered by somebody's like impression, that's a you problem. That's like, if like 3,000 people found that impression like fucking hilarious, but like two or three, or what seemed like in your case at the time, like maybe it seemed like 100 or so, which feels like a lot all at once, but the
Yeah.
people that love you and think you're hilarious are much quieter, and they're like appreciating from afar. They laugh and they move on with their day. Not these fucking idiots who like obsess about like taking people down who feel differently than them. And I've said it before, like, the cancel culture thing is ultimately the most selfish thing you can do, because you're putting your tastes, your issues, your triggers onto everybody. It's like, well, I don't like this thing, now nobody can have it. And then people are like, well, wait, we were all enjoying this thing. We were all liking this impression or this
It's
comedy show.
actually, yeah, it's actually mean-spirited. It's
Yeah.
actually it's not okay. It's really
No.
not, because people have lives and to say that because someone did, now, of course, if you assault a woman, that's a different I mean, don't, like, because people hear this
Of
and go,
course.
so is it okay to
No.
molest? I'm not, we know the line. I know what's
Intent matters.
not okay. Right. I
Yeah.
know what's not okay and what's okay. But for me to say that anything a comic does, I mean, there's some people, their act makes me want to vomit from the shit they say, literally. But you know what? They're allowed to say it. I think they have full permission, and I don't have to listen to them. And I
Exactly.
don't listen to them. I still think they're funny. It's just not my kind of humor or what I
Right.
think. No,
They have a right. Just because you don't like them doesn't mean they
of
don't have a
course,
right to try to make a living doing
it's
this.
art.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize. Art is so fucked in this country. I don't know what. I actually think it's going to turn the other way and it's going to be insane. Meaning,
Like, in a fun way.
yeah, you can't silence comics. You just can't. I mean, there will be comics who are very, very clean and vanilla and don't want to take risks, and
For
I
sure.
know people who are just petrified. I can't do it. Or else
Yeah.
I have to do something. I have to sell something. I have to do something else.
Yeah, it makes your soul hurt. It's like you're actually like just drown. It's stamping out who you are and your spirit and your voice
Right.
and like what you're here to give the world, which is your comedy. And it's like it's really selfish and mean spirited that other people like try to stamp that out instead of like working on them. And it's like they don't. And these are all people that would probably, in general, they don't go to comedy shows. In general, they're
Yeah.
not like watching Netflix specials. They're not watching Comedy Central. That's the thing. It used to be like decades ago, you'd have to go out and find the comedy. And now comedy's in our pockets and things come up
You
that
know,
maybe, shouldn't cross your path. It's just everything's so viral and shareable that you're just going, oh, I'm a cunt. I don't like this. I'm going to ruin this person's day today. And then
and they're vicious.
catches on. Yeah. Because
I really,
you
I
get
mean,
such a sense of power from it.
it's interesting because a lot of people called me, which was so nice, like Jim Norton and David Tell and all these guys, and they were
Oh,
like, "Are you okay?" And I said, I talked to them about it. It's vicious. They don't, you're right, they don't stop. They literally want to take apart your life. It was actually fascinating to me. I couldn't
mm-hmm.
believe what happened, how bullyish it was. It was
Yep.
everything I'm against. I have to be honest with you.
It's really horrible. And I'm sure there were people who were like, when you get this mob of like people who are trying to cancel you, they quickly like, they look you up, they try to find out what they can get on you. And I'm sure a lot of them, when they found out that you were lesbian, were like, oh shit, we can't use, you know what I mean? Like she's not who we thought we were. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, it's like
it,
first of all, I'm a lesbian. I'm Jewish. Okay, I'm married to a woman. I have 4 children with 2 women. I'm middle aged. I'm heavy. Like this is not someone who's so. I haven't had it. This is what I've said before, and it's interesting because a couple of comics really heard me when I've said this to them. Um, I haven't had it so easy. I haven't had things handed to me because I'm hot or because I haven't. Like I started late. I
when did you
I,
start stand up?
I started when I was 29. So I didn't start like at 20 or whatever. So now I'm in it. I'm like, it's just it was so interesting. I mean, a lot of people said that like you out of all people are they're attacking you out of all
Yep.
people.
That's
Just
what made comics, like real comics, like really stand up and go. And friends of mine, we were all talking about it. Like, wow, they're going after Jessica.
yeah.
Everyone who's ever met you loves you and respects you. And like among newer comics, like you're who they mention when they say who they look up to and who they want to be like. And
I think
and
that's why it was so, and they were going off on me about that too. Like I know you're so used to being liked. It's like they were talking about it and then saying to me, "You're so used to everyone liking you. You're so popular, and now you have shit on you, and you're freaking out, and you're scared." I was so like,
that's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've worked very hard on my reputation. Very for many years, I kept my mouth shut,
Hmm.
and
Because it's hard
yeah.
to do. It's hard to do that.
Oh
And
my God. After all the shit and the things people have said to me and the things the industry has done, and just keeping a good reputation is not easy, as you know. It's not.
yeah, it's hard, especially because I found just in my like trying to get on late night shows or trying to submit the 5-minute tape, it's like, oh, and then you're kind of labeled a certain way. I was labeled a certain
Right.
way for having a show on Compound Media. I was like labeled a certain way for not just being like constant, you know what I mean? If you're not like constantly shitting on Trump and constantly talking about how much you hate men in your act, then you're seen as like, well, she's not the bookable, or like, we're not going to use her for. It's like it takes very little for you to be kind of like put in a box.
Right. Now that is with the television industry. But that's never how I did it. Even though I've done so much TV, it was always this is how you'll be also, and you have been. You'll get work from comics because that's how I'm not kidding, 90% of what I've done is from other comics. I'm not even
Right.
exaggerating. That's a
That's so
huge
true.
number. So everything, every movie, everything has either been from someone hearing me or seeing me or a comic referring me or a
Yeah.
comic hiring me because it doesn't matter what the TV business thinks anymore. I mean, I've done the Tonight Show 3 times and it's nice. It's a nice date, but really what's most important is my relationship with the fans like on social media and that kind of thing. Like you'll always be okay because people respect you. And you know what? The more you stick to what you do, that's why I do respect you, because you just do what you do, and you don't let people hold you back. And I'm telling you, it's those people who always make it the furthest. It's so much harder. Even if you think about music, Lady Gaga fucking wearing meat, like
Oh
Madonna
my
at
God,
the
Jessica,
time.
I've been
It's,
looking at Lady Gaga too, and like
yeah,
I mean she's done music videos in like there's a lot of symbolism in her music
a
videos. And
lot.
it's like I'm not gonna get it, I wasn't planning to get into like MK Ultra and like how certain celebrities are basically like mouthpieces for like the elite. But she has a music video where she's in a cloning center, right? She'll wear there's pictures of her at these like spirit cooking dinners.
Look at her. Look how
Yeah.
famous she is because she's talented, and it doesn't matter. And people that take risks go the furthest. Every female comic that speaks up and is always called a bitch or annoying or difficult to work with or whatever it is, but those are the people that, like Amy Schumer, pounded through. I know
Yeah.
her. No, I know them. They all just, it was hard to hear what people said. It was hard to see the criticism, but they still stay true to who they were. The characters you do, the crazy shit, that is what's going to propel you, because you're not like everyone else. That's the only time you stay stuck, is when you're just
And
boring.
yeah, and I've, you have a period of years like, well, I definitely did, where I was like, well, let me try to be what I think the
Yeah, me
successful
too.
thing
Yeah, of
is. And
course.
then you're just like, I can't keep this up. Like, you're like inspiration moments, the like your creative urges are always outside of what that norm is. Like I just put out this sketch, like it was a recruitment video for the Jeffrey Epstein School of Massage, and it's like this thinly veiled like, come to the School of Massage, but really it's like they're all there getting molested, which is horrible. But I was just like, I have to make this sketch about this video. And it was like, put the filters on it to make it look kind of old. And like, there's like Karen Feehan, who was in it, and she was like, $200 is $200. I don't know.
Well,
um
I'm telling you, that's why Karen, me, you, like we're in these groups where it's mostly men who are podcast fans, and they know us and they love us and they'll support us. We're good people. It's like, if you tell me not to do something, I'm probably going to do it. I'm a
mhm.
fucking comedian, and I'm a rebel.
Exactly.
I don't like being told what to do. And the reason why I became a comic was to be free and say what I want. So I mean, you're going to get more attention for doing something like that than doing nothing or doing what everyone else is doing. So it doesn't matter.
So you might as well just like fully
Right.
embrace yourself, and which is like why this is so frustrating to like to have watched that happen to you, because you like know who you are, you own your sense of humor, you're like, you everyone looks at you like, oh wow, she's confident, she knows what she's doing, and she's good and successful. And it sucks that it just was like, it was heartbreaking to see, because I was like, oh, how do people not like kind of not automatically see that about you and just pick on somebody else, like, you pick on someone else who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
It's
um
always hard for me when stuff like this happens, because it's the people that were offended. A lot of times it's lesbians, like young lesbians and Jewish lesbians. I'm like, oh my God, we're in the same, like we're supposed to be supporting each other. I'm not against you. It's okay.
why do
It's
you
just,
think that is? Do
I
you
don't
just
know. It is these, not always at all, but the thing that annoys me is these like Brooklyn Trust Fund, you know,
woke
it's,
lesbians?
well, some are lesbians and some are not, but they're woke. Um, and I get the triggered thing, but I have a joke where I say, it's not even a joke. I say I wake up triggered. The second I open my eyes, I'm triggered by everything. And then I go to bed, and the second I close my eyes, I'm done being triggered for the, like, there's no time I'm not triggered. I'm always triggered. I think it's an age thing too. I mean, it's just a completely different mindset now.
Yeah, I think with like the younger,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm 36, I don't even consider myself like younger anymore.
Yeah, I'm talking
um
about 18, 19, 20,
yeah,
21, 22. Yeah, they're
you
woke.
have you have like the yeah, the wokeness plus the added like haven't lived enough life yet to
That's exactly
know
what I'm thinking.
better.
Yeah. The
And they're
life
just sort of
experience.
following, oh, to be this way and to be against these things means that I have power doing this, and I feel powerful when I cut these people down or cancel them or tell them they suck or that they're racist. And
Well,
that doesn't
funny thing,
last long, that
it's
feeling. You have
not
to keep
funny.
doing it.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's not even working anymore. It's not even working. It works once in a blue moon now with someone
Yeah.
who's really done shitty stuff and there's proof. But it's got to be real because they keep doing it to so many people that it's like a joke now. Like
Yeah.
who's been canceled this week?
Every
It's
right. It's getting to the point where like everyone's been and if you haven't been almost kind of canceled for one thing, it's like, maybe you're not pushing it hard enough. Like
I
it's our
knew
job to
I
do
knew
that.
that was going to happen to me. I
Really?
someone said that to me the other day. I think it was David Tell. I was talking to someone on the phone, and I had just said to someone, "I'm good." Something I know it. I know I'm gonna. They're gonna try to cancel me for something because I know what I've done. I've done characters, and then it happened. I was like,
Wow.
I know someone's gonna freak out either over the Asian woman or the black woman. I know it's because that's what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So I almost got like kind of canceled over a character too. It was just like of another comic. And then like 2 weeks later I did Stick or Treat and did an impression of Michelle Wolf and everybody loved it. And I'm like, okay, well, like there's so much hypocrisy in this. And it's like any kind of public
There is
figure.
hypocrisy.
Yeah.
That's really upsetting for me. Either yeah, you can't pick and choose. I'm like that with religion too. Like you
Yeah.
can't, you can, but to say you're against gay marriage, but you fucking eat shrimp and pork and like you can't do you got to choose one and then commit to it.
Right.
You
If
can't
that's
just
really
pick
going to be
and
your
choose what's
thing.
going to upset you and what's not. It's crazy.
When do you think, when did you start notice? Because right, you started comedy when you were 29. I started at 26, which I felt was like on the older side too. But you start when you start. When
Yeah.
did you start noticing, just in performing and going on the road? Like when did you start noticing maybe a shift, maybe in audiences becoming like more uptight, or was it like a few kind of offended people poking up out of a group? Like how did you
Of
notice
course,
that?
I mean, it started like slowly and then it's just grown to this huge thing, which I think is now, like I said, getting less. It's not going to get worse.
Coming
It's
back already?
a joke to people now, to a lot of people. Um, I think right before the election, I mean, I'm trying to think about it, but I think like when they were running is when things started getting crazy. Like maybe
Like 4 years ago. Okay.
2015. Yeah. That was the last time I did certain things. I feel like that's when I started because I've been on the road for so many years. So I never had issues on the road ever, ever.
Ever.
I mean, people would request crazy characters. They would request shit. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. I was already concerned about this before this pandemic, before everything. Just because also like I've produced stuff and I hear how they talk, the industry.
Oh,
Like I hear them and it's not real.
because they're
Meaning
not.
it should be about who's the funniest and it should be giving different, but by the way, they don't just not give like people of color opportunities. That is true a lot, but they also use the same people for every fucking thing. Like if you look at Comedy Central or some of these networks who in
Hmm.
the past couple of years have been good to me, but for years would not get me, just did not support me, did not get me. They would use the same comic for 20 different shows. I'm like,
Wow.
hello? There's
Yeah.
tons of people out. I never understood that ever.
Is it just like lazy scouting, or they're like, well, this person hasn't created any problems, so we'll just keep using them?
I think
I don't
that.
know what it is.
And I
Yeah.
think it's clicky. They become friends with people. They
Yeah.
try to become friends and I just wasn't one of those people who went out and like drank with the Comedy Central people years ago and
Yeah.
I didn't kiss their ass. I'm also not going to kiss people's asses to get work. You either get me or you don't.
Yeah, I know there was a point where I was feeling that too. I'm like, oh, everyone says it's about who you know, it's about the hang. And I was like, how many nights am I going to spend like out drinking till 2 a.m. just to like maybe get a Comedy Central or like the Colbert Booker to like me? And then shouldn't I just be spending this time like home writing or creating something? And
If you create it yourself, it'll happen like you're doing. It's not for people like you and I and Karen and Bonnie and everyone. I could name 50 women right now. It's you have to create it yourself because they get nervous with us. It's not safe. I don't want to be safe anyway.
it's
Let someone who's
boring.
safe get. It's so boring. I'm glad you get a TV gig, but it is so boring. And what are you even saying? It's like,
Right. There's rules on it. There's things like when I was on, there was a show called Punchline on Fox, and it was like in the style of At Midnight. And we had to like, we got our prompts, like we were kind of writing jokes about like the news lines, like the news of the day, right? And so we were writing from like 11 to 3 and then go to studio. But we had to go through, you'd write like 60 punchlines and you have to read them all off in front of like one of the like Fox lawyer people. And it's like,
right.
the things you can't say. It's so funny. Like I couldn't say the word Viagra. And I was like, what? I was like, everybody who watches Fox uses Viagra. I'm like, what's the big
Oh,
deal?
that's hilarious. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? It's just ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah.
I've been through it every time. And this is hilarious. But this, when I did Fallon, it was the last time I did the Tonight Show. I had a joke and they wouldn't let me say something about Jewish people. Meanwhile, I'm Jewish, but they wouldn't let me say something about Jewish
Wow.
people. So, um, oh, I think when I did like my grandmother, I would say like trust fund. And they're like, you need to say bingo. I'm like, okay, well, let me try it. So I tried it at the clubs, bombed. I'm like, it's not working.
Was the
It's not going to get
punchline
a laugh.
bingo or like or you changed trust fund to
Punch-
bingo?
I changed punch trust fund to bingo, and I knew it was going to work. But they were like, "You, that's what we want you to say," and I was like, "Okay." And then you're going to laugh. I said it, and it bombed. And I turned around and talked to myself. It wasn't even planned. It wasn't. That
Which I've
wasn't
seen
even
you do
planned.
on stage,
Oh,
Jesse.
you have to watch it now.
I've seen you do that at the cellar so many times where you're just like,
Well,
don't freak out.
I was only supposed to do it once, but the joke bombed and I turned around again. So I improv'd on my, this is what I mean. I improv'd on my Tonight Show set. I'm like, fuck
Wow.
you.
That's
So I
awesome.
turned around. I'm like, you knew that was going to bomb. You told them it wasn't going to get, I said that live on the
God,
show.
why did you let them change it from trust fund to bingo? You should have just
But
said
they
it.
wouldn't let me say trust fund because I couldn't say that Jews have money. I mean,
Oh yeah, that would be a real
right,
bombshell.
right,
Can't
right.
let out the secret.
I'm talking about my own family, okay? But it was one of those times when I just said, "Oh, well, this is for the Tonight Show. I better just do." But I knew in my gut I shouldn't do it. Anytime I've like listened and not done what I know is the right thing, it doesn't work.
Because there's a reason why you do what you do and you've been doing it this long and you're good at it is because like your gut is funny and like you innately know like it could even be this a similar sounding meaning word, but if it just sounds different, that gets a bigger laugh.
Right.
It's and like the
Yep.
words really matter. And I don't think that the corporate people like fully understand that or they do, they just don't care or they just
But,
they're more scared than they are appreciative of the art. I don't know. Are
but
they not
now
trusting you?
now there's so much going on that I feel like you can't even. Can you imagine a comic just going on late night now, being like, when you're in a restaurant and like we're done, like the world is ending. So like comics, not really, but like comics are not gonna most are not gonna start being safe and try to appeal to the television industry or we see we can do it ourselves now. I
Yeah.
mean, people have.
It's
So
that's been a really cool thing
I
about the
know.
lockdown is that like not that all of us have the goal of Hollywood, but if like Hollywood is the example and the gatekeeper and like the movies and all that and like the late night shows, it's like it's been sort of like unlocked and like you look at what Andrew Schultz is doing. He built a fucking television studio and I don't even know where that is. It's in his apartment. I don't know, but he's doing it. He's running a full show and it's like if people are kicking up their podcasts. They're starting podcasts if they haven't already, and they're figuring it out, right? Because it's like you're not in a club for months. You're going to get a mic, get equipment. Like you were just saying before, you were sent all this equipment, and you're like, I have to figure out how to use it.
Yeah. But I'm glad because I don't want to depend on these people because a lot of them have no idea what they're talking about. Literally.
They weren't seeing it to begin with. They weren't seeing it when things were normal, and they could go wherever they want and scout whoever they wanted.
And Chrissy, I'm telling you, I've seen it from that side, from the production side, from the industry side, from being on, conference call after conference call after conference call about talent, and I hear them and I'm like, they are so stupid. Like we give them so much more credit.
Mm.
Really, some of them are brilliant and know comedy really well, and they really have a great eye for comedy, but most are just clueless.
And how do they get to these positions if they're like that out of touch? It's just
It's
maybe
who
they
you
know
know or you're
someone.
a good
Yeah.
salesperson. I mean, listen, if someone's good at selling themselves and moving up the chain, they'll move far
Or
without
if,
the knowledge.
or if their dad is such and
Right.
such. And
Yeah.
yeah, wow. And it's kind of it's nice because it's like, okay, because for years you feel, and like I'm sure you felt too, you feel all this rejection. You're like, do I suck? Am I just not right? And then you're like, oh no, you realize like it's these people in charge. They're just not, I don't know, they're not watching enough comedy, they're not in touch, they're too biased, they're too much hooking up their own friends, like whatever it is. And now you can maybe feel the
And they're
success of like,
afraid.
yeah,
They're built. They're now. Listen, this is a great example. Should be to you and to every comic that's listening to this. I couldn't get a fucking special. Do you understand? I mean, there were things. I'm never the kind of person, thank God, that focuses on what everyone else is getting because I know it's a waste of time and I won't be able to function if I keep looking and comparing. But the
yeah.
one thing I knew I should have is a special. I was like, this is insane. There's people who have six.
Oh my God.
Literally.
I
There's
couldn't
women who have
believe that
five
you
or
hadn't
six.
had one. It
Right.
never made sense to me.
Right. Couldn't get one. Couldn't get one from Netflix, Comedy Central. None of them. None. Nope. They passed. Bill Burr called me out of no. He saw me perform. This is what I'm talking about. Called me out of nowhere and was like, "You deserve this." And then all of a sudden, Comedy Central. I was the greatest thing since. I'm not kidding. They were like literally. They put me on everything after that.
Wow.
And we're like, "You're amazing. We love you." I'm like, "No, you didn't look at me for 20 years." Like no exaggeration. Nothing.
And like almost the attitude of like, where's this girl been all these
Yes.
years? And you're like
Well,
fucking submitting.
they've seen me so many, but I didn't fit whatever their mold is. And it's not even about looks or being age. It's not. Everyone takes everything so personally, and I understand why, but it's not. It's either like you're a favorite or you're not. You're in the in crowd or you're not popular. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
I was always in the in crowd with comics, and I was never in the in crowd with the industry ever.
Which must have been so frustrating
Oh,
because, like you said, you get 90%, we do get 90% of our work and opportunities from other comics. And so much is word of mouth. So much of, getting on something like JFL is recommendations and people recommending you for other stuff. So it must have been
that
so
stuff is
frustrating.
enraging for comics. That kind of thing, like festivals,
Yeah.
is really it took me years to get to JFL and I'm very close with them now, but it took a long time. But boy, there have been so many festivals and different things that I have never been asked to do. And it's like New York Comedy Festival. Right here
What?
in New York.
Oh my God, Jessica, that's fucking
Well, I don't
crazy.
work the Caroline. I mean, I don't even know what's going to be open after this, but like, I'm
Yeah,
like, fuck you.
that's
You've
insane.
known me for 20 years. You know what I can do. And we all deal with it. It always looks like everyone's doing so well. Like I was supposed to do a show in Brooklyn for New York Comedy Festival last year in the height of what was going on in my career. I'm talking like everything was happening then. The special, the Tonight Show, everything. Billboard in Times Square, and they were like, "We just don't think Jessica's the right fit for a headlining show in New York in like
What?
an area." I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me." I mean,
Yeah,
it's all gay people, Jewish. Like, you've got to be kidding,
you couldn't have been more on the mark.
right? And
Yeah.
I flipped the fuck out. I flipped out. I said, "I'm done." But that's how I am, and you have
Wow.
to be like that. You have to stick up for yourself when you need to. Like meaning I think that's also why I've gotten a lot of work over the years and gotten ahead with male comics because I was like, you can't fuck with me.
Yeah.
I'll treat you great, but like you cannot. I'm one of you. I'm right here with you. You can't treat
Yeah,
me.
you're not stupid. You've been doing this long
No.
enough. You know that you have the goods.
Yes. Yeah.
With New York Comedy Festival, that's so funny because, like, yeah, I've been doing it for 10 years. So I would see, oh, New York Comedy Festival. You're like, oh, what's this? And then I would see, oh, there's bar shows that are in
Yeah.
New York Comedy Festival. So then I was like, that's when I was running comedy at Stonewall at the time. And I was like, let me just submit comedy at Stonewall. And my whole thing was like, you don't have any LGBT, bar shows in your lineups. And then we got in, I did it for like 3 straight years. And it's so funny, like, and then even like, I don't know if it was last year, a couple of years ago, they would have like shitty bar shows. Like mine was really good. They would have really
Yeah.
shitty bar shows in the New York Comedy Festival. Yet they're passing on someone like you. It makes no sense at all.
Well, it's always favors for people and this, it's all so, it's just, that's why it's so important we do it ourselves. I mean, I'm doing what you're doing. Like, I'm trying to figure out everything I need to do to just do it myself and then help people I think are talented because we have to.
Yeah.
We have to. I mean, I had that's thank God that's what the comedy community has become, especially in New York. I mean, I don't know as much in LA, but when that happened to me last week, I everyone was like, "Come on my podcast. I'm going to promote you. Send me a video. I'll put it up for you." I couldn't even believe it. It was like,
Wow.
yeah,
So it
it's
was like
family.
far, far more good came out of it
Yeah.
than bad, you think?
I I ended up getting thousands of followers. I was just telling someone that
Wow. Okay,
yesterday.
that's
Like,
awesome.
right. It didn't work. That's
Yeah.
the point. It didn't, you have to, it just, if you do it to too many people and people that everyone knows are good people, it's not, it's going to lose its effect.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
it's like ultimately what happened to you is a good thing because other cancelers can see, huh, oh, that didn't work. We didn't take her out. Oh, she's still doing shows. Like months later, like, oh, well, she's still doing great. And then
yeah,
comics are emboldened by it because they go, all right,
right.
they couldn't fuck with Jessica. You know, they feel that when maybe it happens to them, they're not going to back down. They're going to feel like, you know what, I'm not going to apologize. Jessica didn't apologize. Like, I'm going to make it through this. And it's actually like comforting.
Yeah, the only reason I would apologize is if I did something knowingly to hurt someone, which I
Of
just don't do
course.
anyway, but then I would definitely take responsibility and but
And
there
you
were
have to,
people who
yeah.
were obsessed with talking to me. I can't even tell you. They reached me on every single social media website and were like,
People you'd
"We
never
need
talked
to
to
talk."
before.
No, no, just random. And I'm like, "No, we don't. We don't need to talk. You need to
Wow.
talk to someone else who has a
Yeah.
degree, like who can help you."
You need to sit on a leather couch
Yeah.
somewhere in Midtown.
Get a
Yeah.
tissue. Like, go get some CBD cream. Do something to feel better because you are not okay.
Yeah, I would get that too. I get people in my inbox, yeah, strangers thinking they need to school me on like Asian history and like why what I did is offensive, and then like people commenting on everything on your Instagram, like the posts that have nothing to do with what they're mad at. They'll find different posts and comment on, and they'll just like they'll be
They become
relentless.
obsessed. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
because they
Isn't
don't
that
see.
crazy? I wish I had that much time to do that.
Yeah. And I remember at one point somebody was like, Chrissy Teigen, help us, help this hate speech. You know, they tagged Chrissy Teigen. Like, she doesn't give a fuck about you. And then as it so happened, like, you know, now we have a couple months later, I end up tweeting at her and it kind of like catalyzes this mental breakdown for her on Twitter because
Wait, what happened with
I
that?
just I pointed out to her that she had deleted like 29,000 tweets. Because a few people had been, you know, I follow in some like conspiracy theory stuff, but you know, it's not like the only thing I do.
So does my daughter.
Oh yeah. Okay,
14
cool.
year old is into it now. I'm
That's
like, oh
awesome.
boy, she
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Not all of it, but some of it's interesting to
yeah.
look at. So a few people were talking about Chrissy Teigen, like, oh, she's got some real icky, like, pedo tweets, like a history of kind of like, oh, like a lot of it, you know, like and Pizzagate code. Like, I like pizza, but I would never tweet about pizza the way she did. It was just a bit much. And then I looked on Social Blade, which you can see, you know, I would go on it to see like which comics I know. I like bought followers, you know, but you can also go on it to see because if you see a
You're
steep if
hilarious.
you see a steep, like a sharp, you know, $10,000 person increase and nothing had happened, like no special came out, no drama,
You
right?
notice
Like
shit like that? I'm so bad with that kind. I
I
wish
like
I noticed that.
it's
That's
fun to
fun.
look at that. But I was like, so I'm looking at it for her to see, like, all right, I think we were checking to see for aberrations. And then I see in the media column, which are the tweets, right? She had deleted 29,000 tweets in like one day. And I was like, that's a shit ton of tweets. So I tweeted
Jesus.
at her. I was like, oh, looks like a lot of celebrities have been busy since Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested. Like, Chrissy Teigen, why did you delete 29,000 tweets? And she responded to me. I'm not even verified. I had just 15,000 followers at the time.
Wow.
Responded to me and said, actually, I deleted 60,000 because I'm afraid of my family because of like weirdos like you. And I wasn't trying to like, I wasn't obsessing
Oh
about
my
her. I
God, I didn't
wasn't
even
like,
know this happened with her.
it
That
was
is
weird. And this was like
hysterical.
a week or two ago. It was like a big thing. And fans of Chrissy Teigen were like after me, but it
Oh,
ultimately
no,
was,
they must have gone crazy on you. They love her.
yeah,
Some.
for some reason. Yeah. And but what it was is that all these other, there was like an army of people behind me that had like all the receipts, all the screenshots of creepy tweets she had tweeted over the years back from '09. Like behind me were all these people with like the, the receipts and the screenshots,
Oh
and it was a lot. And
God.
she ended up, so she pointed out to me like, no, it was actually 60,000. And to that, I was like, well, that's a lot. And she's like, oh, I was just talking about toddlers and tiaras. I'm like, I don't care how much you love that show. Like, there's no way you have 60,000 tweets about toddlers and tiaras. So she must have just done a big, like, mass deletion of anything related to toddlers, Pizzagate. She would
Wait,
talk
is
about.
that something? How the fuck do you erase 60? Did she spend 24
That's
hours?
the
You
thing.
do one
She
by one?
probably had a team of people,
Oh my God.
or like a bot that would just automatically delete anything with a certain word in it, because no one does that who's totally innocent and not trying to hide anything. Like that's a big amount. That's a third of her tweets that she deleted because she's innocent. So I'm like,
I can't believe there's a place you can go and see what people have deleted.
yeah, it's called Social Blade. It's pretty neat, and it's fun to look on people who are like just get onto SNL. Then you look like months back to see when they were hired, and usually there's a period where they delete a lot of tweets because they're like in the hiring process. It's just like, I'm like way too much into this. So anyway, I ended up getting like a couple thousand followers from it,
Yeah.
and then she blocked a million people. She wanted to block all of the QAnon people that she claimed she was afraid for her family, not because she just looked really sketchy. And then her Twitter was like private, but she deleted blocked a million people. And
What?
yeah, she went nuts blocking. It was all over it. She had press releases
I
about
saw
it.
I saw some stuff on Twitter, but I didn't know she blocked a million people.
A million people, because she was trying to just block all the QAnon conspiracy people, this she claims. But I think she's just doing it for attention and to like seem like a victim, because you don't delete that many tweets when you have nothing to hide. So, and she would have stuff saying like, oh, who's the guy with the laptop? Oh, she's like, I'm going to Anthony Weiner, this kid. Like, these tweets said like, they were really gross and very concerning. Like, oh, I don't understand. Like, look at these toddlers. Their stomachs are so tight and like nice looking. And, oh, finally, there's like a boy in this competition. There's eye candy for me. It was a lot where it's like, and she's not a comedian. So it's like, she would be like, oh, I was being sarcastic. But like a lot of the tweets were beyond that. And, it's like, I feel like I can recognize when people are trying to be funny. And this was just like, I'll send them to you. It was
Yeah,
like
I got to
above
see
and
this.
beyond.
I can't even. Yeah, I could spend all day, every day looking at this shit, at what
Yeah.
people do on Twitter.
It's pretty crazy, but like that I actually got less shit for like than the Kung Flu fighting thing. I also had a thing where I like made fun of Utica a couple years back. I just was like,
Oh
this is
my
I did a
God.
shitty tour of Utica, and I was like, everybody here is on meth. You
That
know,
is, see, that makes me like, Utica is a town in upstate New York for people that don't know. So people got really defensive of Utica?
Yes, and I was shitting on the whole town. I was like, "Oh, look, there's an in-ground pool for sale," but really it was one of those unfinished foundations. Like they were going to start to build the building, and then they just gave up, and it was full of
Right.
standing water. And I was like, "Look, it's a pool." And then I would just say, "Look at this bartender. She's also a stripper." Like not even creative or
I
funny
know,
things.
I know. It's so sad.
And then people were like, publicly like, you suck. And I said, oh, I'm like a 2 in New York, but I'm like a 10 in Utica. And people would be like, you're a 2 here also, you suck. But then privately people would be like, yeah, we really do have a big meth problem. And
A two, you're like a 38 there.
oh
It's
yeah,
really,
I was trying to be like, I'm a 10 in Utica. But people
it's
would be like, no.
hysterical. I've said when I go to those places, I make fun of them in the crowd. They crack up.
Yeah. And that was just
These are
like
people who
what
are on
happened.
meth who are
Well,
upset that they're from Utica. That's really what it's
yeah.
about.
And then people privately would message me like, yeah, things really took a turn after the industrial era, like going into detail, like, yeah, we really are like New York's Detroit. I don't know what happened, And but a local radio station like had picked it up and talked about it. That's the only reason why I ended up getting shit for it like 6 weeks later or something.
That's
6
the
months
thing.
later. Yeah.
6 months later, 6 years, it's like,
They're just bored. Yeah.
yeah. And it's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
It's going to keep happening to people, especially now because people are like they're losing their minds now. So now it's really bad.
Yeah.
home just fucking losing it.
Hmm. Do you feel like less inclined to do characters after this, or are you just like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep doing what I want?
No, I'm going to keep doing what I want, but I have to say this whole thing has made me like I feel darker on stage, which
Mm.
I'm pretty dark, which some people don't even realize, but I'm pretty dark. But I feel like more mellow and just like like just like I fucking hate everyone. So I feel like that's going to be more of that than me
That's
yelling
good.
and doing loud characters. I just don't have it in me right now, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a process. So it's like right now, it's like you're feeling angry. There's a lot coming in, and I think that's going to stew and then
yeah,
make its way out with material. It's
yep.
like, it's a whole like input output, right? If like nothing's coming in, then what do you have to say? And it's like, oh, you're just like, you're learning what society is,
Yeah.
and like just bullshit. It's a lot. It's a lot to make you angry. And a
Oh,
lot of people,
geez.
most people agree that.
It's so, I mean, have you been on stage at all?
I've done a couple of like secret shows in Westchester in like backyards and at golf courses.
Yeah,
I was just asked to do the one that's in Astoria, like on the
yeah,
back of a pickup truck. And I
I
was like,
did that
I'm
one.
thinking
Wait, did
well,
I
this
do
is
that?
one of the better ones. Maybe I should do it.
Yeah, I was
So I
next to
don't
a
know.
garbage dump or something.
Oh my God. And you're beep, beep,
That
beep.
was upsetting. That's what I mean. Like I was like, this is rough. This is
Yeah.
rough. Like we're starting out again. These are open mics.
Wow.
It
What
was
about like your the stuff you had planned on the road? Have you heard from?
it's funny. I just had a conversation with my agent today about it. It's like this place doesn't know yet. This place, they're still closed. This place closed. Uh, this
Whoa.
one's still open. It's like Mohegan Sun. I'm still working there in Connecticut, but like I have a gig in Jersey, a big gig in a theater, and they're not open. You can't even have dinner there inside.
Wow.
So it's literally even New York City, as you know, is different than Long Island, which is different than upstate New York. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah.
Everywhere is different. So no, it's looking like more and more on Zoom.
Whoa.
Um, and I think that I'll start doing what I did for years, which is producing shows, so I can have people like you, friends on, and I don't have to. I don't want to. I never want to wait for people to give give it to me.
Yeah.
What's the point?
It takes your
I-
power away too, because you're
Right,
just like, I know I'm good. I know I have something to say. Like, why do I have to let them be the judge of whether I get on or not?
right, and I, I don't know. These outside shows are just not. They're not that easy. I'm doing an inside show tonight in Long
Ooh,
Beach, which is on
okay.
Long Island. So it's so weird. It's like I went last week and Mark Norman was on and Christina Hutchins. It was fun. I went to hang out with it because I live 20 minutes from there.
Ooh,
Like, oh,
yeah.
this is good.
That's
So
a
I'm
good
doing that
lineup.
tonight with Jared Freed and some other people. But it's weird. I have to tell you, it feels weird that I'm going to be doing a show inside. This will be my first show inside. I actually just realized this now that I'm talking to you since March 14th. This is my first
Wow.
show inside.
Right.
Yeah.
My last inside show was like March, same thing, like maybe 13th.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Philly, and it was like one of the best shows. And I had this whole like I had my first ever like big headlining tour was from like
I have,
March to May, and it was like
uh,
whoop.
that's my biggest tour was during this whole time from the
God,
special.
what places have you heard have closed?
Um, I don't know if this is true, but I heard Broadway closed.
Really?
I heard
That's
the
interesting
Broadway.
because I've been interested to hear like what, because there's no way all the clubs in New
I
York, there's
know.
what, 17 stand-up
There's
clubs in New York
no
City.
way.
I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way they're all gonna make it.
I mean, I think, the seller is going to start doing stuff online. A lot of them are. They have to.
Yeah,
Uh,
wow. Well, I heard the seller was even for a time saying if you're at all offended by the show, it's on the house. Like if you come to them after and say that you were offended, then you don't have to pay. Did you hear?
I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but I do know when Louis was coming around, there were people who could have left and just gotten their money back or something
Okay, that makes more
in
sense
the
because he
beginning
was.
of that. But I don't know if that would be the case because I feel like they'd have every show they'd be giving people the money
Oh
back.
yeah, anybody who loves comedy would be like, I'm offended. I'll be back tomorrow.
But you know what these places are building now
What?
is
Oh, the decks, like the outside,
unbelievable. No, the fucking plastic, you're in a box.
like
I
the
know.
salad bar thing. Like, oh yeah, like the plexiglass.
Yeah, I know.
Between
I'm
this,
really I'm freaking out about it a little bit. Like Governors on Long Island, I saw pictures. They have it's you're in a fish tank.
you're literally it's gonna be a human zoo. People just come
Yeah, I want
and
people to just drop raw meat on and but it's literally
throw crackers and tips into the.
does you imagine it's like a fish on a like there's someone's fishing and I'm going like I don't know how I think some people can do that and it's okay because they're joke tellers. I was talking to Bobby Kelly about it yesterday. I'm so into the audience and crowd
Yeah,
work and it's going to be really weird to have
they're the
glass
best
perfect.
part. I love like finding out about the people. I love
No.
seeing the couples and knowing right away that there's tension between them. Like I know like right away, like, oh, okay, they're kind of having a fight, or like, oh, this man brought a cunty girl and he's finding out for the first time that she doesn't really like comedy, or like I miss the drunk
I know that
people
all
that have
that
to make it
shit.
about them.
Mhm. Yep, and it's going to be in a glass or but maybe that won't last for a long time, but I saw pictures and I was like, "Wow, that's weird."
Yeah, I just think the venues are like flailing right now.
They
It's like
are.
you're fucked. If you don't own the building, you have to be fucked right now. Like, who
Fuck.
has just four
You,
months of rent sitting around saved that they can just.
well, you get a loan, but then you have to use some of it for the employees, right? But then
Right.
the employees were on the it's going to be it'll be interesting to see what happens now after this 600 a week, which is a shitload of money that people
Yeah,
are not going to get.
they were making more than
And
they
that's
would have made.
$2,400 on top of what they
Wow.
were getting for unemployment a month. So when people aren't getting that, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
And like, and venues just they want to stay open. They're like, we'll do whatever we want. And
I
like,
know.
there was one place I was doing a show that was like, well, we can't do shows anymore because Cuomo just said like no comedy because when you laugh, there's particles that go in. There's spit particles that come out when you laugh. I was like, you fucking kidding me, man?
Well,
Like,
then there can't be funerals because you cry. Well, there aren't funerals.
yeah. And the place was also saying like, well, we might have to cancel our weddings now because there's no dancing allowed. Can you imagine trying to get married now and you're like,
No, you don't. Who the fuck go to a judge, get married, and save the money?
it was sad. Well, he was saying there's this one wedding and the girl getting married, her dad is like terminal cancer, and she's like, I can't wait till next year. Like I want to
You can't.
dance with my dad. I was like, that's fucking heartbreaking. I would if I were the place, I'd be like, just fucking go dance in the
They
fucking
don't. They
yeah.
don't bend at all. Nowhere. Yeah, most places don't bend now.
Because they'll take away your liquor license. There's no like
Right.
debate or chat. They'll just be like, yank. Just
Yeah.
scary.
I think you had to serve food with the liquor at one point.
Yeah, they had the Cuomo chips, and then because you had places would be like, all right, we'll just they throw a bag of chips at you with every drink, or they charge a quarter because the places were like,
Yep.
this is fucking ridiculous. Because Cuomo thought that if you sold food with drinks, people wouldn't just gather to drink. You know how people have fun and they just drink without eating that. And then he was saying that the Cuomo chips,
You
like the
have a
chips are
chip?
not enough, and then
I
that
can't.
wings were not enough, like apps were not. I'm like, excuse me, wings can be a meal, okay? Like I've done
Can you
it.
imagine you have to have a four-course meal with like, yeah.
Yeah,
I no one knows what's happening. That's the truth.
it's crazy. I'm like, what if someone's on keto and they don't want chips? Not me. I've been eating a lot of carbs. I got some quar pounds to lose.
Oh, me too. Please. I said I'm going to end up on my 600-pound life. I have to get back so much.
Your wife will have to become a feeder. Like, I hope this is your kink because you're gonna have to just
She
continually feed
yeah.
me burgers.
You know what? She is such a she would never she wouldn't even bring me a fucking carrot if I got that. She'd be like, "You're not eating." I'd have to have a side bitch. How
Yeah,
crazy is that what I just
like
said?
you're gonna have to slosh your way to the bathroom. I'm not
Yeah.
carrying you.
I'm gonna have to seriously have like four girlfriends that can just bring me my room.
But then you could easily get a TV credit because then you could just be on that show.
Right? I would
You'd be
become
like the funny.
then I
Yeah.
could die at the end. It would be amazing.
Oh
My
yeah.
family would get so much money if I blew up during the quarantine and then died.
Like what? I had to
I
get a
love that we
TV
just
gig.
got quiet. It's so my
No,
favorite.
because it is like it is sad, but you got to just like keep the
Yeah.
hope and the faith going because people still at these shows, the ones that I've been to, the few ones in the last few months, people really do want to laugh, and the people that want to see comedy are like fucking desperate for it, and it's the people that are not like real people, not just like the wokes and the people that are like obsessed with masks and like so brainwashed and afraid they're going to get it if they walk outside their house. Like the majority of like regular people really
Well,
do
there's
want to see
there's a
comedy
lot of
now
people who are, I mean, who literally don't know what's happening with the mask.
because there's
Like,
been so much misinformation,
well, or they literally don't even know what the fuck they're doing. Like they'll put it on and then they'll take it off and then talk to people and be like, "Oh, I forgot. I put it on." Like they don't even know what's happening. It's
That's
just
true. I saw a guy in the pool with it and he rang it out and put it back on. And I was
that's
like,
hysterical.
anything goes. It's
He
just
rang
wild.
it out and put it back on to go in the
Yeah.
pool. So stupid.
Oh my God. Yeah. We'll see what happens. What I've noticed, which is like interesting, but also shitty. So I did an interview with Buck Angel, who is a female to male
I know,
trans.
Buck. I
And
know.
yeah, oh my God, what a
I
guy. The
porn.
fucking coolest,
I've watched a lot, believe it or not. I had a friend who dated him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was telling me that he's getting a lot of shit because people are saying because he believes that like biology is a real thing. And then I guess there's another group of trans people who feel like biology is not a thing, that there's no real biological difference between biological men and women, that it's all just nurture and programming.
What?
And Buck was like, no, this is bullshit. Like I had to take hormones to look how I want to look.
Yeah, God
And
help
so
me.
so Buck was a good, I bring Buck up because he's a really good example of how people that are also trans, right, they're supposed to be all part of the same group and supporting
No.
each other, are basically telling him that like his beliefs are wrong, that the way he's living his life is wrong, and like he got so heated up about that. And it's like the amount of like trans on trans judgment is like fucking insane. And when you talked about like
Yeah.
getting shit from the other lesbians, it reminded me of that, that like when did there become rules to being a
Very
lesbian
upsetting.
or rules to being trans?
First of all, that makes no sense to me. It's his experience. So who is
Exactly.
anyone to tell him what his experience is? What is that?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
doesn't fit
seriously,
this,
it's
academia
crazy.
thing. Yeah.
If that's what he feels and he knows in his heart, I mean, I can relate to that because I've always been male in a lot of ways. And I get feeling I'm so sensitive to people like him because you know, like he knows his body. He knows how he's
Mm-hmm.
always felt. I hate people so much. I really,
I do too.
it's
Yeah.
so bad.
Not the people listening. We love you guys.
No, you guys are the best, especially if you spread the word about Chrissy's podcast. And
Oh. And
yeah,
everybody follow Jessica right now. Your Twitter is just at Jessica Kirson.
yeah.
JessicAKirson.
Yeah. And Instagram is Jesse Kirson.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And where can they find your podcast, Relatively Sane?
So it's everywhere where you can find podcasts on iTunes and everything. And it's great. I've done a lot of them. I've interviewed people. I'm going to start doing some alone, which I decided because I need I
Ooh,
need to rant. Cause
rants are good. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good place to put all this like anger you're feeling because a lot of people feel the same way.
I know. Most people feel the way we do.
Hmm.
That's the thing. I have to always remember that is a very silent, like it's not a huge crowd, that crowd that's offended by every single thing and tries to cancel everyone. It's Twitter.
Yeah. It's
People
just a
my
select
kids aren't
few
on
mentally
Twitter.
ill.
Like literally, Danielle, my wife, has no idea what that even means.
What Twitter is?
She's not on Twitter. She doesn't follow that shit, like of canceling. And to her, it's so
Wow.
ridiculous. It's just, it's very much a Twitter thing, right?
Yeah.
Or a Hollywood thing. It's not, yeah. Um, but yeah, we all just need to keep doing what we're doing and commit to it. And
Definitely.
you end up going very far when you do that. When you start questioning it, should I say this? Should I do that? I don't know if I should. That's when shit goes bad.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. It's good. Good. I feel like I learned a lot. I'm fired
Yeah.
up too.
Good.
This is good, Jessica.
Yeah, do more Kung Flu stuff.
Yeah, I will. I'll have to do just more Asian comedy, I guess.
The two of we should go all out and like go into a rice paddy.
Oh man. Yeah,
Oh
for
God.
sure. Anything else that you want to point people to watch of yours or anything that we left out?
No, I have a special on Comedy Central website that you can get on Amazon, Comedy Central, and probably a bunch of other places called, Talking to Myself, produced by Bill Burr. And I have an album coming out of the special in September, so that'll be great.
Ooh, okay,
Yeah.
that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, like that's something I thought of.
Yeah.
That's it. That's for you and any comic who's listening to this. I was like, my special should be an album. Like I literally just thought that a couple of months ago. So I called my manager and I'm like, can we turn and he's like, oh, that's a great idea. Like no one would have even probably thought of that if I didn't constantly look for other ways to get out there.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. Like each joke is a track. Boom. Like
Yeah,
how's
no
that?
one thought of it. And it's a way to make money not doing stand up.
You can listen to it in your car. You don't have to be like watching the thing. It makes so much sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope to see you soon. Hope to bump into you at a weird
Maybe I'll
show
see you
somewhere.
when you in Queens. I might see you next week sometime.
Ooh,
I agree
okay.
with a couple of them.
All
So,
right, maybe at that thing in Queens next week then.
and are you doing anything on Zoom or no?
No, I mean I'm doing a lot of these podcasts. I've been asked to do a couple Zoom comedy shows, but I'm just like,
What about crowd work?
yeah, I haven't
That
really.
one's
I've
fun.
done it more. Oh, that's the name of the
It's
show?
a lot of fun. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
gonna start producing crowd work shows. I did one and it was fucking hysterical.
That
I
sounds
had
good.
I had Aaron Berg and Mateo. It was so no one even told jokes. We just talked to the
Uh,
boxes and made fun of everyone. It was
that's good.
hysterical.
That's
Yeah.
good. All right,
Yeah.
I'm down.
All
Thank
right.
you,
I'll
Jessica.
see you soon.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
Julie.
Love you.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.